If you have an interview coming up, here are 5 biases to know about that your interviewer definitely has that you should learn about so you can harness them into your favor. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Steph. I paid $250K to get an MBA at Stanford, and now I'm teaching all the secrets I know for free. So the first is the recency and primacy bias. What this basically says that in a string of, let's say, items or events, people remember the first and the last things, and they kind of forget the middle. This means when you're interviewing, and I've noticed this 100%, especially on finance super days, tech days, basically where they're churning through a ton of interviews rather than for one-off roles, you should always choose interview slots at the very beginning of the day or the end. This is because you want to maximize the chance of not only making a good impression, but also being memorable. Second is the halo effect, aka what we all know basically as pretty privilege. But in interviews, this is especially true. People who are perceived as attractive are also perceived as more intelligent, funny, smart, put together, competent, the list goes on. Looking your best seems obvious, and especially when you're going in person, it's rare that you don't show up your best. But I've seen so many interviews, especially that are done remotely, where people kind of get lazy about it, and people can tell. So always show up looking your best. It also makes you act more confidently, which frankly I feel like adds more to the halo effect than just pure physical appearance. I know I said 5, but this is getting kind of long, so I'll do one more. And it's a principle called the fundamental attribution error. It's basically a fancy way of saying that when people interact with you, they assume their interaction and how they perceive you is based on who you are as a person and your character, not external circumstances around what might be going on. So for example, if you had a horrible night the day before, you're really tired and you're showing up really low energy and lethargic, no one is going to automatically think, oh, well, Steph might be just having a bad day. They're going to think, no, Steph is a low energy, lethargic person. This obviously hurts you when you're trying to make a first good impression. And speaking very practically, I actually read this book called The Charisma Myth. Highly recommend if you're interested in the topic of being more likable and charismatic in general. But one thing that this book said that really enlightened me is that body language obviously matters a lot. In the same way that no one's going to make an assumption that you had a long night the day before and that's why you're showing up kind of weird, if you're acting or looking weird, let's say sun is shining into your eyes from the window behind the interviewer and it's causing you to squint and look kind of weird, people aren't going to know that unless you say something. They might assume that you're squinting because you're suspicious or weird, I don't know. So whether it's a literal physical annoyance or something going on in your life, really tired night or family emergency, things that are kind of causing you to act differently, actually say something about it. When done appropriately too, it allows you to connect with someone on a more personal level. Everyone has horrible days, everyone can relate, and so sharing it actually, I think, does both things well, aka it gives people more empathy for the position that you're in and gives you a little bit more benefit of the doubt, and also potentially strengthens your ability to connect with someone.